All right, so this is kind of a part two video. 24 hours ago, I showed you how to sterilize these little begonia seeds. And today we're actually going to be sowing them in a Fluval substrate just because it's got a nicer pH. So it's a little bit more acidic, and begonias prefer substrate that's a little bit more acidic because it's what replicates their natural environment. Additionally, I like to sow in a kind of like a semi-sterile environment. So what I like to use is just a wax paper, and you can kind of just use it to kind of guide these seeds onto the substrate in different areas. So in addition to the pH being just a little bit lower in Fluval stratum, which is similar to what begonias actually grow in the wild, it also has a little bit of nutrients. And so this nutrients will be used once the seed germinates. And I prefer nutrients in the Fluval versus nutrients in my water whenever I'm sowing seeds because I want the roots to be able to get it. I don't want the algae to be able to get it. I use a bee system to label all of my begonias because it makes it really consistent. And then if there is ever a ID change or anything in the future, I can kind of modify and alert anyone who's purchased begonia B44 or begonia B43 because I have them all itemized with a number. It's kind of like a U number within the American Begonia Society. Because I'm getting the seeds imported, they don't actually have a U number yet. So basically, this is the easiest way I found to keep track of all these things. I'll write the seed identification on the lid, and then I'll follow up with a date. You'll see that I have them in these little containers. I prefer ketchup containers to big bins and something that would be like, I don't know, let's say like a tent or something like that. There's too much air to control to try to keep it stabilized in an environment like that. So if you can reduce the amount of air that you have to control with both temperature and humidity, then you're gonna have your seeds perform a lot better. With light, it's gonna be important that for the first 3 weeks you have high light because begonia seeds are actually photosensitive in order to germinate, which means that if you don't have any light, the seed won't germinate at all. So once you have the first 2 weeks of light, you want to reduce the amount of light you're giving these begonias. That way your algae doesn't take over and you give your seeds the ability to come back up. So when it comes to temperature, temperature has a bigger pull on begonias than you normally think. We've noticed this when we've been trying to wake up tuberous, dormant begonias when light just really wasn't enough. I would recommend having a heat mat underneath these plants for at least the first 2 weeks. That temperature range is going to be somewhere between like 75 to 85 degrees. If you replant them too early, begonias are very sensitive to root rot. So as far as seed starting goes, that's going to be the basics. And with these sets, I will bring back more videos whenever we start to get germination, and I'll see y'all then.